Okay, so again, today we're talking about proactive retirement options that are out there. We've got some amazing panelists that I'm going to bring up. I will tell you we had 4, and one of them was ill. Everybody knows somebody ill right now? Kind of gross. Yeah, we're washing our hands extra right now. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bring my panelists up. Now, while they're coming up, is there anybody new? Is this anyone's first time? Oh, that's a lot. I'm so glad. Come on up and have a seat. So turn to your neighbor, tell them your name, introduce yourself, and how you heard about it while we get our panelists settled. I'm going to have each of our panelists introduce themselves, and then we'll get into the questions.
Okay. Well, I'm Sandy Johnson. I'm a retired educator. I live in the Springs at Native Plains, which is on the southwest 164th and Penn, which is kind of another country away from where we are right now. It's kind of far away. And I've lived there about 2.5 years.
Thank you.
No? Thank you.
I'm not nearly as energetic as she is. I'm going to sit down. My name is Mel Roberts, and I am a retired clinical social worker. Worked in geriatrics for over 20 years. And currently, my husband and I are living at Concordia Senior Living. And anxious to answer your questions and tell you about the process.
Good morning, my name is Nadine Lewis. I'm retired U.S. Coast Guard, 26 years. Never been married and never had any children. That's why I look so young. I currently live at Acclaim Living Center on Pennsylvania near 122nd Street. And I've been there since August. I don't need a microphone.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we're going to get right into that. So, again, today we're talking about retirement living options. So, I'm going to start with Sandy, and then we're going to work down because they've all chosen different ways to retire as far as housing is concerned. And so Sandy chose to purchase a downsized home. And so she does not maintain the exterior of her home, but she does have full kitchen. She owns the home, can do whatever she would like on the inside. And then the other panelist that was ill, she was in a leasing community. So similar, except that the community not only took care of the outside, but they also took care of the inside as well. And then the other two are in let's see, Mel, you are in Concordia, yes. And so, are you in one of the cottages? I'm sorry, yes, okay, perfect. And then Nadine is at, oh mercy, Acclaim, thank you, I almost said Legends. She's at Acclaim, and so it's more of an apartment style living, right? Where both of those meals are provided if you wish, yes? Perfect, okay, great. Okay, so Sandy, how long did you think about moving before you did it as just that contemplation process?
Overnight. ADHD here. Actually, I had downsized after my husband passed away. I downsized. My son had a house across the street, and so I bought that house and moved over across the street from him. He was getting remarried, and there was the housing addition a couple of miles west of me, and so I went and looked at it one day just to go look at it because I like looking at new houses. And then I came home and I thought about it overnight, and I thought, I think I like that. And so that's how I made my decision. I knew I needed to get away from my son and his new wife because they needed the chance to live their life without their mother hanging around.
I can't imagine that because you're pretty precious. So.
Well, thank you. I will tell them you said that. So,
Val?
I wish my journey had been that simple. because of working in geriatrics, I had the experience of working with people who ran into an emergency situation where illness or death of a spouse or something, and they were thrown into making the decision about downsizing. And I was determined I wasn't going to let that happen to my husband and I. We were going to make our own decision. We were going to pick the place. We'd tell the kids about it later, and which we did. And
Thank you.
when we moved, we've been at Concordia 3 years now. And we look at each other and say, well, did we jump the gun? Did we do this too soon? And no, we didn't, because we're both still in good health, but we have a community now. We have friends and neighbors that look out for one another, and we know that if anything happens to either one of us, and we need more care than we're receiving now, we can move to a higher level of care right there within the same structure, and that's just very secure, it just makes us feel good. So we're happy we made the decision.
Perfect. I love Nadine.
Hey, I was thinking about it, but not actively. And then I have a blind friend who needed to move from her current residence to another residence, and she talked about these senior living centers that everything's included. And your utilities, cable, unless you want extras. And you have to pay extra for your Wi-Fi if you want that. So we went to look at one of those, and she came to decide that she couldn't afford it. But then as I got like the spark, it was like, yeah, but I can. And so I started thinking, because I lived in a home, it was 2-level, and I knew I was not going to be able to age in place. I'm already starting to have problems with my knees. They're starting to give me issues, and if I walk up and down too many stairs, they cry at night. And so that's what I call it anyway. After we looked at one place, we had time before we were going to have an appointment to look at another place. And I said, hey, I saw this place on Pennsylvania. Can we go look at a claim real quick? And she said, absolutely. So we went and looked at a claim, and once I did that, all the others fell off the radar. I said, this is the place for me. But I discussed it with the person that was showing, and she's here today. Her name is Lisa. And I told her, because she was trying to get me into one of these smaller ones, like a studio or a 1-bedroom or even a smaller 2-bedroom. It's like, that's not happening. I'm coming out of 1,500 square feet. I need at least 1,000. Because I need at least a second bedroom. Not for company, because I don't want anybody in my home. So, I thought we established that when I said I wasn't married, don't have any kids, right? So, that they have these apartments that a guest can stay, so you don't have to have them in your place. It's like, that's for me, I like that. And then includes, the rent fee includes 3 meals a day. And it's like, cool, I don't even have to cook for them. Oh, wait a minute, I don't have to cook for me. One of the selling points for me was it didn't have a kitchen. When I was packing dishes, I had these pretty purple plates that I had, and they went to the estate sale because I packed all my paper plates in plastic. That went to a claim.
Well, I think, honestly, one of the things that I have thought several times just throughout preparing for this is how we live in such a wonderful time to be a senior. There are so many options. There are so many paths. And, all of those preconceived notions that we've had can really drop to the side, right? Because there's, for as many different people that are in the room, there are that many different options that you can go with. So I'm excited to hear a little bit more about what considerations really went into your decisions to move in general. So, I guess the question is, what made you look around your home and say, I need something smaller than this?
I was looking around my home and I saw I had a 3-bedroom house And I said, I don't even use one of these bedrooms. Occasionally somebody would come and stay with me, but very seldom. So that was just a spare bedroom. When I was choosing my floor plan, I looked at the budget, I looked at several things. I could have afforded a bigger house, but I thought, I'm not gonna pay for a bigger house than what I need. So I found a floor plan that I liked that would fit the lot, and I said I only need 2 bedrooms because it's just gonna be my room and then my office sewing room. I use that as a dual purpose room. And I don't have a spare room, so I don't have a spare closet, I don't have a lot of spare stuff. So that made me realize I needed to get rid of some of those extra things that were just stashed there. So, yeah, and I look around at people in my neighborhood that are moving into 3-bedroom houses with an office and I'm thinking, what are you doing? There's a lot of room here that you really don't need, but that's again, their decision, and it's one of the opportunities. So I just needed 2 bedrooms.
I have the pleasure of living with a collector. I'm not saying that he's a hoarder. But we had been in our new home in Edmond for 16 years, and there were still boxes and boxes and boxes in the garage that had never been opened. Actually, he moved in with me when we got married in the first place. And so, there was a lot of stuff. And I was looking at it from a very practical standpoint. I do understand that we're going to get older and things are going to start breaking down, and let's be prepared. And I can't tell you, like once a month, we'd be sitting in our little recliners and he'd look around and he'd say, oh, I love our home. It's so beautiful. And the whole time back here, I'm saying, we need to talk about downsizing. And when I finally really broached the subject with him, we started looking. We went to a half a dozen different places. I already knew where we were going to go, but it was his decision.
You have to let them cycle through it.
Yeah, it was definitely his decision. But as I said earlier, I wanted for it to be preemptive. I didn't want it to be a crisis situation when we made the move. And downsizing hurts. It's painful. I mean, Cliff had been a photographer since he was in 7th grade, and I'm not kidding you, we had boxes 6 feet high, 9 feet across in the garage that were full of photographs, photo albums, movie film. He could not let go of any of it, so I just said, okay, turn your head and I will do it. And I bet I went through 10,000 photos and threw away most of them. And, it's hard to do, but it's very freeing.
Nadine.
So I agree with Mel. I wanted to make the decision. I didn't want somebody to have to make a decision for me where I was going to go and when. And so I made the decision to move now, even though I don't really need it to, per se. But I looked at it, this is retirement living. So since they do all the housework and the cooking, I could go play more golf. Who agrees with me? Yes, I thought that for people. So play more golf and do more things that the fun things in life that I want to do, which isn't cooking and cleaning. And downsizing wasn't as painful as it was for Mel, because since I don't have any kids or any immediate family anymore, it's like I could detach. And what was happening for me is that since I had a bi-level house, I was living only in the bottom half. I wasn't going up to the top anymore that much. And that was where the office was. But I had an iPad. I didn't have to go to the office, except maybe to pick up something that I printed once a week, once a month, whenever needed. And Nara was happy. She never really went upstairs unless I was up there. So she didn't need it either. So that was easy. The other bonus was I found out about an estate sale. That's how I got rid of some of my stuff, and I turned it into money. So I turned it into cash flow, so I got to go buy some other stuff that I really wanted, like a new putter. And
Well, I want to talk about estate sales here in just a minute. And just so you know, Nara is our beautiful service dog friend that's up here. If you haven't seen her, she's very sweet. Okay, so that actually kind of leads me to my next question, and that is about support systems. So, you know, we have so many different types of people in the room that have different, you know, family here, family away, no family, you know. So, Sandy, what did that support system look like for you?
So I'm a widow, and when you're married, you make decisions together or guide each other to make decisions that are appropriate. And that happens a lot with me too. But whenever you live alone, you make your own decisions. However, I wanted to make sure I was making a good decision. So, just as if I had been talking to my husband, I talked to my adult children because we raised them to make good decisions themselves. And so I did talk through this with them, and they brought up some good points. They asked good questions, and I took them along with me during the building process, and they said, oh, Mom, what about this? What about this? Oh, yeah, because there's things that you forget. So they were right there beside me, and I also felt like I was teaching them about the process that I was going through so that they could go through whenever they needed to go through it appropriately. So, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so Mel, I know you said that you made the decision and told your children later. So was your husband really your sounding board?
Yes, and these are my stepchildren, so they're, you know, I hate that word, and I don't use that word. But they know that we're a team, and that we do make decisions together. And after we had signed the contract at Concordia, we just called the kids and said, there's nothing wrong, we're not dying, but this is what we've done, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna sell the party house. This is the house where everybody came for every occasion. And it's gonna be different for our family gatherings, but it's our gift to you. That you're not gonna have to be in charge, that if when we need more care, we're gonna be someplace where it's provided, and you can come visit us anytime you want to. And, you know, I think at first they were really pretty startled, and then they got to figuring out, this is really a good deal. This frees us from a lot of responsibility. And they've just been totally supportive through the whole process. So it's been good for our family and definitely good for Cliff and I.
Nadine, who was your sounding board?
I have some, excuse me, I have some real close friends, and I discussed it with them. And they all felt like it was a great idea, and I brought a couple of them on a tour with me, especially during mealtime. I wanted to sell them on the meals just like I was sold. And so they said, I think this is great for you, because since I am alone, it offers more security. It also, I no longer have to eat alone if I don't want to. But if I do want to, I've got that choice too. So I have a lot of different choices. And I've made some close friends that are at the Living Center. And in fact, we call each other and said, hey, you going to dinner now? We meet down at the dining room. And unfortunately, we're the ones that start eating at 5:15 and don't leave the dining room until 7:30.
Well, perfect. And I'm curious, just real quick, how many communities did you each visit? I should have asked that in the beginning and I didn't. How many communities did you each visit before you chose where you're at?
I visited one. There was discussion between my husband and I. His dad had lived in a different type of community similar to Mel's. And we were in our mid-50s at the time and both working full-time and both busy doing all the stuff we were doing. And he said, well, they offer meals there. They offer 3 meals a day. You can go eat there anytime you want. And so that was a big draw for him. I said, we're not ready for that yet.
Also, did you not offer him 3 meals a day? Or snacks whenever he wanted? That's what I
He
always
found
think
my
is so
candy
funny.
stash. When he started working at home, he found my candy stash. I thought, you have never gone into the pots and pans before and you found my candy stash.
I was just kidding. I just thought that was a funny drop.
Well, we would meet every day for lunch and from work, and he worked at home and I worked in an office after, through education. So we would meet at lunch most days of the week, and then we went out for dinner most evenings. And so, yeah, I paid the credit card.
How many did you visit now?
Well, I had clients in probably 6 of the senior living facilities in Oklahoma City. And we also visited Yukon at Spanish Cove. One of the things I did 100 years ago was sell long-term care insurance, and I decided back then that that was a pretty good deal, and so we have been paying on that forever and ever. And it just gets more and more expensive, but it does give us the option of more security in where we live as far as medical care, and I feel like that we can stay in our cottage with the support of that insurance even when we begin to fail physically and mentally. And we do remind each other on a daily basis that between the two of us, we have half a brain. The memories are fading. But places have different atmospheres. So it's really good to go visit and to go eat a meal. Food is a big thing, and we've got really good chefs at Concordia. The food there is very good. And
I think, I love what you said about it's really important to visit a lot of places because, as many of you know, I'm a real estate agent. One of the things we tell our client is, that your house that you're looking for, your place that you're gonna live, it's gonna kick you in the gut. You're gonna walk in the door and feel like, okay, this is home. I can do this. And so sometimes it takes a few. Nadine, how many did you go look at?
Well, I also started online. I did some online shopping, and then I made some phone calls to see what they offered, because I didn't need to buy in and to go from like independent living into assisted living, because when I need assisted living, I'll go into one of the veterans homes. I qualify for that. So I needed just something for now, something that met my needs for now, because I'll go on to another place. So probably about 3 or 4 online, and then I forgot about Spanish Cove. I accidentally looked at Spanish Cove, and because I was competing in the senior games, and one of the events was held at Spanish Cove. So I got the bright idea after I got done competing. I said, can I have a tour? And so they took me on a tour, and I was really sold on Spanish Cove. There was one problem. It was in Yukon. And the reason that it was a problem for me is my world is here in Oklahoma City and Edmond. I couldn't leave Kickenberg Golf Club. I just can't do that. And some other things. So I don't like change. And so I didn't. I'm in the same zip code I was when I was in my house.
Well, location is so important, and a lot of times, we talk to people where you go to church, where your friends are, community events, things like that, just really dictate. Family, grandkids, we do a lot of let's get closer to the grandkids. That's a lot. Okay, so I really want to get into maybe some of the. We talked a little bit about what's hard, but I want to know about challenges. What were the biggest challenges that you had in making this transition?
One of the biggest challenges for me, when you move into, because I built a home, and I built homes before, so that didn't scare me, that didn't bother me whatsoever, I look forward to that. But the biggest challenge during that period of time, because I moved in 2022, we were still coming off of 2020. There were supply shortages, there was labor, the labor was less than what it needed to be, and I would walk in, and there was one point where I walked into the house and I looked at it and I said, I'm ready to walk away. Whatever money I've given you, it's gonna be all yours. I'm ready to walk away because I had a horrible cry. I had a meltdown. And so I talked to one of the ladies with the company and she said, hang on a minute. So she talked me down off of that and she said, I'm gonna make sure everything's right. So, and she did. But there are some challenges when you're building that you don't expect to come up, some things, decisions you have to make. I would assume there's, challenges with anything. One of the challenges was downsizing. I lost my house to a 99 tornado, so that kind of made it easier, even though I had replaced everything and then some. Just the idea of getting rid of furniture and things that I didn't need. I did sell some, I donated some. One good tornado and it's gone anyway. So, and that's how I kind of look at life. Live now, live for now, enjoy it now, because you don't know what tomorrow brings. None of us know what tomorrow brings. And I had an illness also and could have died from that, but I'm still here and still in everybody's way. So, make decisions and make yourself happy and get someplace where you can be happy now. There's challenges that are going to come up and, just jump over those hills and figure out how to go on.
Yeah, I'm such a believer in, if something is hard, let's talk about it, right? If you don't talk about it with somebody, it's so hard to find solutions to those things. So I think that's so important. Mel, what were some of the biggest challenges to making that transition?
Truly, the downsizing part of it was really hard. Because we had a lot of stuff. And once it was gone, we realized that was just all stuff. And as I have said, it's freeing. Yes, you give something up to move into a community or to senior housing. But in my heart, I know that isolation is one of the toughest things about aging. And we're not isolated. We've got 100 and some good friends that we live with and eat with and exercise with and pray with. So the things that we did have to give up are non-starters. I mean, it's not that big a deal once you get through it.
So one of the hardest things for me has been my fellow seniors going away in an ambulance and not coming back. You get attached to some people, and one guy was there only a week, and we all fell in love with him. He was just something else. He was a great guy. The other thing that's hard for me is we've got some people who have memory issues. And so I'm kind of on the younger side. So when I come in contact with that, it just breaks my heart. Because I know they just don't know what they don't know. We laughed around dinner time last night because one of the gals wants to come down to some of the activities, but she forgets. And this other gal, who also forgets, said, well, I'll remind you. And I told her, I said, no, you won't. And so sometimes that's, I didn't realize being that close with that many people that those other things were going to happen. And I've gotten to the point where when I hear an ambulance, I wait to hear to see if it stops, right by my place. And if it does, I run downstairs to see who it is. Because I'm just praying it's not something I'm really, really, really close with. So that's been the hardest thing for me. The easiest thing is I feel like I transitioned back to the Coast Guard. I get 3 hots and a cot.
3 hots and a cot. Okay, so, and then I want to touch on estate sales real quick and not spend a lot of time because it's such a multifaceted way, but how many of the 3 of you actually did estate sales? 2, okay. Did you feel like you sold your things for what you expected?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Nadine, do you?
No, but I didn't care about that. I just want to get rid of it.
So that's the point, and that is what I wanted to say. Is a lot of times the estate sale process is super painful because people don't value your things as much as you do, but it saves you from having to move things, and surprisingly, it's pretty expensive to have things just hauled off. So it's going to offset some of those costs. Mel, you look like you have something important.
Well, we went the online
Ah.
auction estate sale, and those people just did an amazing job. I mean, they came in and they put stuff in groups and posted it online. We didn't have people wandering through our house looking at stuff. They collected the money before the people could come pick up what we had at the house. And so in a 4-day period, it was sold and gone. And we were able to clean the house and walk out the door.
So just like there's lots of different options of where you can go, there's lots of different options as far as how you go about taking care of your items that you choose not to take with you. So that's the takeaway there.
I even put cemetery plots in the online auction, and certainly got more than the cemetery was willing to pay me for them.
Well, that's a first. It's really hard to stump me, Mel, but I don't think I've heard of that. Okay, so now that you have lived there for a little bit, how do you feel about it?
I live in a resort. We have a pool, we have a clubhouse, and I reserve the clubhouse for family meals and get-togethers and for parties and different things like that. The pool is open during the summer, and we meet down there in the afternoon and have pool time. We just walk through the pool. In the evenings, a lot of times we just walk in the pool because it's been hot all day and it's cool. They mow my yard every week, and I lay there on the sofa and look at them, or I lay on the patio and pull the shades down around the patio, and the guys come and they, and I wave at them, I give them some bottles of water sometimes, and I just feel like I live in a resort.
You said something, don't hand it off, because you said something when we were doing our preparation session about the relationships that you have built with some of the other widows in the community. So please tell us about that.
Okay, so our neighborhood is made up probably half married couples and probably half widows and widowers. There's a group of us. When I was in my other house, when the sun went down, I was by myself. I was alone. And it got pretty lonesome just being the dog at night and the TV. And so there's several of us that most afternoons will go and eat together. If I want to go to Hobby Lobby or something, or run an errand or something after dark, I'll text someone and say, hey, you want to run with me? And usually someone's available. Most of us don't go out after dark anyway. But there's a relationship there. One of the ladies, she had broken her arm. She was thinking about moving. She had just thought maybe she made a bad choice, and she had broken her arm and couldn't do anything. And so we were bringing her food, and we were taking care of her and putting her trash out for her. Another lady was gone for a weekend. We had a list, and everyone had to decide time to go let the dog out, play with the dog, like every 4 hours. So we're a support group. We're just a little tight support group that takes care of each other. And we know who's gone out of town. We set trash cans out. We don't even ask. We put them away, don't even ask. We keep an eye out for whoever hasn't had, who we haven't seen in the last few days. We just keep an eye out. We support each other.
Do you feel like that has prolonged your independence?
Yes, I feel like that. I feel like it's going to be a whole lot longer before I do have to go to assisted living. Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. All right.
You know, I just feel like I have 100 new best friends. It's wonderful, and what Cliff's always saying, if you'd have told me 3 years ago that I'd be going to bingo 2 nights a week, I would have told you were out of your mind. And now we're calling bingo one of those 2 nights a week, and we just have a blast. I've gotten involved in the resident council, and I will stay involved in the resident council as long as they will have me, because it's how I get to know the new residents and know what's going on, and can be an advocate for the residents to get management to do the things we'd like for them to do. And they've been very responsive. So there's just, I've been able to continue my social work soul in the community without walking very far. And I'm dedicated to walking 10,000 steps a day, and I can go over to the building and walk the halls and get it done in pretty short order.
So it sounds like you're still glad you did it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Nadine, now that you've lived there for a while, how do you feel about it?
I'm ecstatic that I made the decision. I'm still happy. I'm still in the honeymoon phase, I think. And for the same reasons the other two ladies discussed, I have community, I have people around, I don't have to eat alone anymore. And I became an ambassador and at the Acclaim Living Center. What the ambassador does is welcomes the new people and tries to make sure they get acclimated to the environment, shows them when meals are, what the activities. And yeah, we have a lot of bingo too. And I got to call for the first time for the Chinese New Year bingo because the one guy didn't want to do it and the other lady, she didn't want to do it. And so I went ahead and I volunteered to do it because I'd called bingo a while ago in another organization. And so I said, oh goody, I get to go back to my roots again. And so there's a lot of activities, and there's some that I don't get to make because I'm busy on the outside doing other things. Because I'm the chair of the Veterans Council and some other things, golfing, you're gonna like to golf and stuff like that. So I still keep those activities, but I have additional ones for when I don't. And at night, we play cards, we have the theater to watch, we got together and a bunch of us picked a movie, and we watched a movie together. I got to make the popcorn. And so I get to have fun with my new friends.
That is the resounding that I'm hearing is that it has created a community, right? A community for each other, and not only are they providing that for you, but you each have provided that for them, and I honestly think that's beautiful. So share some words of wisdom. We've got a minute to share some words of wisdom for everyone that's attending. What you got?
My words of wisdom are make the decision to do whatever you're going to do now while you can make a good choice. Make that decision, set things up so that your kids don't have to go through a lot of things, or if you don't have children, somebody's going to have to go through all your things. Make these decisions now. Go ahead and downsize, get rid of things. I remember my mother started, about 5 years before she passed away, she started giving some things away, and I thought, what is she doing? But she knew it's like whenever we're pregnant and we're nesting, we know that it's time to get ready for a new one coming into our home. Whenever we reach 60, 70, 80, whatever age, we know that it's time to, okay, we need to clear out some of this clutter, move it on. That's just part of life. And so, but if you clear out a lot of the clutter now, that you don't have to deal with it while you're enjoying life still. So make some decisions so you can enjoy life now without all the clutter.
Thank you. Mel, what are your words of wisdom?
Recognize that you're closer to the end than you are to the beginning. I mean, truly. And that yes, our bodies are going to start breaking down and failing. In some cases, our minds are going to break down and fail. And so while you've got your faculties, make that choice and decision. find the place that's right for you, so that you don't end up living in a 2,000 square foot house by yourself. You know, it's a gift you give to yourself to go into a community of whatever it is that you select and that fits your needs, your personality, you know, something that will make you happy and content. Because that's content is the big word that we feel with our decision. And I guarantee you, it wasn't anything that Cliff had on his radar screen. So, life is full of surprises.
With all of the activities, I feel like I'm returning to my third childhood, because I'm having my second before I moved into a thing. So now I'm going into my third childhood. And because we do painting, and so I feel like it's playtime sometimes, and even with the bingo and the games that we play and the cards and stuff like that. I feel like we owe it to ourselves to enjoy the years we have left. We've worked hard, we've raised our families, and I think it's time for us to enjoy some time before we reach the end. That's my words of wisdom.
Thank you. You know, each of you said making a decision while you can, and you know, I think so many times people think that by holding on to their perceived independence, they can prolong their independence, right? But a lot of times, when you explore all of your options, then that is what prolongs your independence. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Like, when you are making those choices to put yourself in a place where you can build that community and enjoy and feel in control of those decisions, that is true independence, yeah? Okay, so we have time for some questions, and I know that you guys have some really good questions, and I told you guys that I was not going to surprise you with any questions, and we were going to stick to the questions, but I did not say that the attendees were going to do that, so get ready. All right, so let's see, okay, perfect. Yep. Why not? They're going to answer.
My question is, for the lady on the sweatshirt on, where is it she is staying? I didn't catch that at the front.
Me?
Yes.
Okay, I live at the Springs at Natty Plains. It's on Southwest 164th in Pennsylvania, and it's an independent, or it's an active adult living community, and you actually purchase your home there.
Yeah, so, and just to expand on that, there are several communities within Oklahoma City that you actually purchase your home. You know, there's a lot of red tape in saying that a community is 55 plus, but if you pay attention, you can find them because the homes are built generally ADA compliant. They have wider doors. They have there's a little bit more accessibility. Generally, they're gated, not always, but usually. Most of the time, they're just a 2-bedroom plus a study. So if you watch, it's not really a community that a family with a lot of children would probably choose to live in. Sometimes the HOA fees are higher because they take care of the yards and things like that. So they kind of self-select out. Is that?
Yeah, that, and so some of the things that I noticed coming from a disability coordinator person one time is I noticed that whenever I walk out the front door, the houses in the area are built, you walk out onto the front porch without stepping down. Usually it ramps out to the driveway. From the house to the garage, there's very little step there. So, and then going out to the backyard. So there's a lot of things that they've thought ahead about with wider doorways, like you said, and you can ask for, like I made sure that I had all liver handles in my house, which means that the dog took my little dog for a walk one day when the door wasn't locked. So.
Okay, what is your question? Yep.
With the tens of thousands of people in America reaching retirement age now every day, as a realtor, do you see a lot more constraints construction for new communities being built just in our county?
I mean, not enough, honestly. Oh, thank you so much. Y'all, I'm new, and I'm not a professional speaker, but I am a professional learner, and I'm so excited to take you along with me, so thank you so much. So her question is, with such a large number of adults aging and yet baby boomers, and I was looking at numbers, and there's a lot of y'all. But she was asking, are there a lot of new homes being built? Communities being built? I would say not enough, but there are lots of opportunities right now, and builders are getting on the bus. I would love to hear what, Nikki, do you have any statement about that as far as, just real quick, what you think about the state of new opportunities?
Sure, no, I think, truthfully, the reality is, you guys, I mean, the communities that are being built right now, there's not gonna be enough. So the reality is this, with the studies that we've done, the research we've done, I read an article, academic article just the other day that said we are gonna be, by 2030, we're gonna be about just over 500,000 units, that means, per family units, short of what is needed for every older adult who's going to want one by the year of 2030. That is nationwide.
I have
Now,
good information.
So hang on just a second, hang on, we'll get to you.
Yeah.
But what you need to hear is that it depends on where you live. So when you think about that in Oklahoma, just right now, if you were to look at Oklahoma, you need to know that there is housing on the radar, right? But it's not coming out of the ground yet. And what you also need to know is not all it's going to be as affordable as we would like. Okay, there's going to be plenty of housing for people who have the means to pay high prices for housing, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be housing for everybody that is what I would call middle income or who doesn't own their current house. The good thing is, as a real estate agent, like Becky said, if you own your home, chances are you've paid it off. If you have a mortgage, it's maybe small because you've remodeled or you've taken out a HELOC or something. When you sell that house, you now have the equity that you can use to move someplace, which is what most of you probably did. But if you are a renter and you've rented most of your life and you don't have that equity, which is I think maybe what was going to be said, is that we have to make sure that, when they say housing is being built, ask the question, what kind of housing is being built? Because it also, by the way, is an assisted living that's being built. And people that are waiting and they say, I'm not going to move until I need to, are not moving to Acclaim, and they're not moving to the Springs, and they're not moving to independent living at Concordia. They're moving to assisted living, which is great, and that's why Legends has some amazing properties, and Quail Ridge has some amazing properties. There are not enough of those to accommodate the number of people. So that's the bad news. Thank you, Becky, for letting me deliver that. The good news is there's plenty now in Oklahoma, and I'm going to just say one last thing. If you're going to move, you have to get on a waiting list. If you think you're going to move to one of these communities, go ahead and get on the waiting list. And they're going to call you and say, hey, we have a unit available, and you're going to say, I'm not really ready yet, keep me on the list. And they're going to call you every time a unit is ready at your time frame, but get on the list. I know that somebody back here had so you might have them, yeah.
Yeah, Brandy, I'm so sorry, but I want to get to questions, but Brandy is in the back, and she is with DHS. And so if you have a question about that, DHS, the state of Oklahoma, guys, you should be so proud of where you live. You should be so proud to be an Oklahoman. Yes. Because they have spent so much time and resources to make sure that they are helping plan for exactly that. So, Brandy has so much information. Please stop by and see her at her table at the back. She's one of our education partners.
Purple on.
She has purple on, and she wants to answer your questions about that. I think I saw a question over here. Yes? What is your question? Mel, is your husband here?
No, he isn't. He has come to these things in the past, and we've both spoken, but I was told this was going to be a female dais, and so I said...
Did you want the flexibility to call him out if you needed to, because I see you?
No, I mean, he would have liked to have been here, and I'm sorry I didn't. Thank you.
Standing up for the husbands in the room. Okay, so the question is online estate sales. If you will come and see Shannon, stand up, Shannon. Shannon is our listing agent on my real estate team, and she has the inside track to online estate sales, so please go see her, okay? She'll be back at the table after this. I think we can do one. Okay, we can do one more, and then come see me after, yes. Of buying in or paying a monthly fee. So like, so you want to know the difference between purchasing a home and? Okay. Do you have an answer for that?
Yes, I do, because when I was calling around,
Yeah, so the question was, what is the benefit to buying in or paying a monthly fee?
okay, so I don't know what, well, the advantage is if you don't have, like, I have a place to go, I'm gonna go to the military veterans home. If you don't have that and you're gonna need a higher level of care, sometimes some of these places you have to buy in, you purchase wherever you're living, whether it's the apartment style or a cottage style, and then when you need assisted living, you can move to assisted living without paying any additional fee, because you're already paying it. So you buy in, and then you pay a monthly fee to go to your next level, whether it be assisted living, memory care, or whatever you need. So for people who don't have long-term care, that could be the advantage. And let me tell you though, you're gonna have to have a lot of money. That's why I discourage you from that.
Perfect. Vicki, I said one more. Okay, well, here's, yeah, please go talk to Concordia about that. Daniel says I have to, we have to. You're good. I can do another one. Well, this is my blind side, so I'm gonna come over here. Hi.
As somebody who is in their 50s and has a loving parent around your age, is making this decision, what kind of advice or guidance would you give to us on this side who are trying to help our parents navigate these really tough but also very important decisions about their lives and not yours?
So I love that question so much. So her question is, what advice would you want someone to give your children in order to maybe provide support? Yes, is that a good interpretation? Great. Okay, what would you like for someone to
Well, I think it's really important to look at all the options, because as you can see, I mean, we all have different things, and the financial thing is a big question. I mean, at Concordia, there is an entry fee. The kids will get that when we're gone, or at least a big part of it. You know, actually, I think our monthly living cost is higher now than it was when we were in our home. But when you know, the convenience of it is so different. But you know, look, get your mother involved in that looking and checking different places out, and let her have that, the feel, the emotional connection to a place. I mean, you can, there are some communities that I would walk into and never see anybody. You know, if it wasn't mealtime, you didn't see any of the residents. And then, you know, other places, there's just something going on all over the place. And some people are for anybody, you know, you need to find the fit for you. And good for you for helping your mom.
Sandy, what would you?
luckily my kids want what's best for me, and so whenever I make a decision, they'll say, Mom, is that what you want to do? What do you want to do? What, and Mom, go ahead and spend your money on whatever you want. We don't need your money, so you go take care of yourself and make yourself happy. They want me to be in a place where I know that they want to know that I'm safe. My son lives in Edmond, my daughter is going to move back to Florida eventually, and so they want me in a place where they know that I'm taken care of and there's a support group around me. They have all the phone numbers of the neighbors and they can call and check on me. So they want to be happy and know that I'm safe and taken care of.
I also think that, everybody wants to live in their home. Well, not everybody, but the majority of the people that I talk to want to be carried out of their home feet first, right? We've all heard people say that. Oh, ignore that. All the kiddos here are changing classes, but we're not going to stay here. So I think also just one of the things that I have, sorry, I'm getting directions from the back. One of the things that I have noticed go successfully is just saying, not now. This is not now. This is, if you have a fall or if you have something happen, let's just make a plan. Like, it's not today. Let's just see what's out there and see what feels right to you, right? Okay, I saw some hands.
I've got one more question, a suggestion to that.
Okay,
Come to the Truth Series.
come to the Truth Series.
Very fun. You learn something new, even if you think you thought you learned something.
I come to the Truth Series to learn something, and I'm standing up here, so yes, ma'am. Yes.
I encourage it because it definitely makes you think.
Okay.
You want me to see it, Dylan, actually?
Yes, y'all.
Costs and cost arrangements, like you get something back if you have to pay more, or what are the typical parameters of getting cost addressed?
The cost parameters, like what are the different things getting the cost addressed?
Okay, so do you want to speak to the different costs that are associated with your decisions?
One of the things that I have considered is that whenever it's time for me to move on to something different, my house that I own now is an investment. My kids will end up selling the house, and that was kind of a piggyback on what you asked a while ago. At some point, my kids will probably be responsible for taking the lead on selling my house. That'll be up to them. That money will be put into whatever I need to maintain my longer-term care, assisted living or nursing care, whatever I move to next.
And while Mel's getting the mic, I will say a lot of the communities, when you go visit them, they are very, very open and honest about that. They don't want to hide anything from you. They want you to look at all of the information because they don't want there to be a surprise on the back end. So I would say, and I believe that on your questionnaire that's on your table that you can take with you to the communities, I believe there's a section on there about how to ask about cost. Yeah, Mel.
Continuum of care was a priority for me. So that means that we have independent living, assisted living, nursing care, and memory care, all in the same facility. So it's all right there. You're not gonna have to, if one of us breaks a leg or a hip and needs nursing care for rehab, they're not gonna be someplace else in the city. They'll be right there in the same building. So that was important to us.
Well, what I like about a claim is they have many different choices for your budget. You can wind up in a studio, a one bedroom or a two bedroom, and they have several choices. They have 3 choices in each level, which is really great. The other thing about a claim is we have a lot of care providers that come in, like Crossroads, I forget to do the other names, will come in if you have an accident or something and can help you stay still independent in your current place. So that's what I like about a claim, even though it's independent living, you can get some additional help to come in and help you. I see them all the time, all these.
So the cost associated with that, how did that come into play when you were looking?
I heard somebody say that they pay more, well, I pay less. So after I sold my house and don't have those maintenance costs anymore, it was actually, I'm saving money every month. And for the nursing home, or the nursing care that I might need, if something happens, the VA will pay for that. Isn't that nice? So I'm one of the fortunate ones where I got that extra support that way. And that's why I can probably stay at independent living a little bit longer than most people can.
Perfect. And just, one thing that I thought about when Sandy was talking to, make sure that you have your home in a trust, that your children are not having to pay for a probate. So shout out to Arvest and State Law Firm in the back. If you have questions about that, please talk to them about that. We have great education partners, and they all can weigh in on this subject. So please go talk to them. Okay, we got another question. Brady, you had your hand up. What's your question?
I just want to know how you got your husband to get rid of his collections. Because we're working on that right now. We're at that age where we're starting to think about retirement and downsizing and what we're going to do, and he wants to travel. And I said, well, you can't take it all with you.
So Brady's...
So, what do we do? How do I convince him?
Brady's question is, how did you convince your husband to go ahead and downsize his collections?
Well, for one thing, he really loves me a lot. And he really, it was important to him that we stay together. So he was willing to, I mean, this guy still had the camera from the 7th grade, his little Brownie camera. And we ended up donating all of his cameras to a high school photography group. You know, where the kids, we still had flash bulbs and flash tubes. I mean, he really is a collector. He held on to his coin collection because that was condensed enough that we have that with us. But pretty much everything else, he was willing to let it go.
That's a great question.
I'll try.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I'll try.
Herb, do you have a question in the back?
More of a comment. Mel didn't explain everything that she did in her past. She was, we had a support group where the caregivers brought their loved ones, and Mel was the facilitator for all of those that were living with the disease, which is the toughest group to do it, and she was wonderful with that. And she still, to this day, I'm a geologist, so I do rock and fossil shows. I call it a rock show without the Beatles, sticks, or stones, and I still think I'm doing great guitar. But anyway, she and Cliff actually helped me with that. But you know, my big question would be, I lost my wife to Alzheimer's, 10 years ago? So I'm more interested in what's the female to male ratio?
The males are definitely in the minority. And we got some pretty good looking women.
Okay, well, we all know and love Danielle, and her parents are here, and do you have questions for them? Yeah. Bill, that is a great question. So VA benefits, so his question is, tell us a little bit more about the VA benefits, and I would love it if you had a resource that you talked to, share that too. For housing. And
Just for housing or the medical?
Just for housing.
Okay, so for housing, there really isn't any except for the compensation that you get. So the compensation, the VA disability that I get helps pay for my rent, okay? And go do all the other, like my retirement and stuff like that. But as far as the other parts, like the medical that I might need, there's VA programs out there to help. And right now, I'm 100% disabled. So if I have an injury, go into the VA hospital, come home, they'll pay for my home care at home.
Okay, where is the closest one around here that the VA will?
Like a veteran's home?
Yeah.
What's the closest to Oklahoma City?
Norman.
Norman, okay. And Dr. Nikki Buckaloo has something to say, and then I have something to say about that.
Yeah, so guys, this is a common misconception. Like at a claim, a lot of people think, oh, VA won't pay for that, and they won't pay directly for it. But at the same time, it's all dependent upon your income. It depends on if you're disabled or not. There's so many factors. But we've had a number of clients who have moved into some sort of an independent living arrangement. They do need a little bit of support, so maybe they have in-home care, some of the providers that they either have on site or that they hire privately. They can apply for what's called veteran aid and attendance. I'm gonna say that again, veteran aid and attendance. We have providers, Becky does, and the team back there has people that can help. And I know Acclaim actually has a group that helps them help their residents make application for that. And they're very effective at it, because if you try to do it yourself, you will be denied. So you either need an attorney or somebody really good, and I recommend that somebody really good. Or the attorney in the back of the room to direct you to somebody good. But my point is, don't discount if you are a veteran, the spouse of a veteran, then you may want to apply for veteran aid and attendance, regardless of where you move. Even if you don't qualify yet, you've made application and now you're in the system, you might be able to qualify for it later if your circumstances change.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Bill. That was a fantastic question. We've got a lot of veterans in the room. And I do want to direct your attention to the claims table in the back. They are doing a speaking engagement. Why can't English is hard sometimes, sorry. A seminar, thank you. They're doing a seminar on Thursday, March 6th at 2 p.m. They do have a guest speaker coming to speak to unlocking new VA benefits, updates for veterans and their spouses. So this flyer is back on a claims table. If this applies to you, please go and get one. That's very timely, okay? Danielle, how are we doing on time, friend? Okay. Yes, you sure may. What questions do you have?
I just talk about my experience. My father has been in assisted living, and he then had to advance to hospice care. And when we share, the hospice will come right into wherever you are, whether you're in Concordia, Spanish Cove, any of those, hospice will come in and work with that organization. And just passed away last week. And but it was so comforting to me that the facility was there. I didn't have to be with him 24 hours. You know, I knew he was being taken care of. He had a couple of great weeks there, for sure. This last year, I didn't have to worry about him, and I only lived 3 months. And I just can't say enough about how thankful I was that he chose to live somewhere that really does as family members. And we're all in the country, so it was really special. But I just have to add that.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, hospice will come to where we live, and know this, you get to choose, right? Just because they have a company that they recommend you, you get to choose your hospice. So that's an important thing to know as well. Danielle, good? We're good? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Let's go, look, I'm going to go behind you. Yeah, what's your question? Oh, thank you so much. There's some newbies in the ring. So behind you are all of our education partners. We cannot do this without help. And so they are committed to education as well. And so they have papers in the back. You can go visit with them and get some more information. Okay.
But there is a waiting list, and it is based on like the ward you were in. So it's not necessarily, if I got on the list, it would be a long time for me. However, World War II people moved in first. Obviously, there's not a whole lot
Love that. So, lots of options in Norman. We just have to get on a waiting list. Is the gist of that. Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, so I'm gonna keep my friends up here at the front. So if you have a question that maybe you were a little timid and did not want to ask out loud, they will be willing to answer that. So I just honestly thank you so much. This is the first time that I've moderated in a room this large. I've moderated before, but there's a lot of y'all out there, and So thank you for your grace, and I want to go through just a few housekeeping notes. I'm going to go ahead and have our education partners make their ways back to their tables. Please stop by and see them. They care about you and want good things for you. So I don't have my clicker, Danielle, but I would like for you to click through for me, please. And while she's doing that, I'm going to draw your attention to this yellow sheet. I want you to fill this out. If you have questions about something that we talked about or something that we didn't talk about and you would like information on, this is the way to ask us. And as a reminder, Daniel goes through all of these. It stays very private. No, it's not going into a big database or anything like that. No one is going to contact you outside of us. So just be mindful of that. And let's see, what do we have? Okay. So you've got a form that you can fill out to reflect. So please do that. And that's to take with you. Next month, March 4th, you can also RSVP for this on your yellow sheet. There's a checkbox for RSVP. March 4th, we're going to be right here. The Truth About Selling As Is. Nikki is going to moderate that, so you'll get to have her back next month. And we get a lot of questions about things being sold as is. Yeah. Okay. Villages OKC, one of our longtime education partners, they are having an event. Also, well, there's lots up there, so definitely check those out. And I believe they have this back at their table too. Do you have this that you can take? Yeah. So if you would like to attend any of these events, there's a form back in the back. They have monthly workshops. All right, wonderful. Well, I do appreciate you so much, and please give our panelists a big hand. They did a great job.